Hold on tight, 'cause you know tomorrow may not bring that same thing that you said last night. Woo! Every time I find a little peace of mind, I hold on tight, 'cause tomorrow may not bring the very same thing. No, 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 said none of the right there. You that care all, just for me. I'm so glad that you that care all, just for me. I'm so glad that you that care all, for I see my life. This is John Turnipseed, Minneapolis. He's getting ready to show us
Our campus
the campus.
and what happened here. We started in that building right there. Where we're standing was a crack house, and we tore it down. Where we could have a car chopped down in Chicago in 2 days. So then we bought that, and all these buildings were vacant. So we started buying the block. Pennies on the dollar. Nobody wanted them. This was crack alley. Nobody wanted to be around here. This was the most dangerous place in Minneapolis. This is the place where the National Guard had to come. Okay?
All of this was crack.
All this was crack alley. Okay? This used to be our bar.
Your what?
Our BAR, bar.
Bar.
So, you know, the police didn't care because it's kept us out of downtown. In every city, there's a thing called VFW posts and the Veterans of Foreign War. Our strategy was to get the VFW guy high on crack, and we took over the bar. This bar seats 1,000. We actually would make about 20 grand on each one of James Brown's performances. So this was and the police never came here. We didn't check no IDs, with no metal detectors. This was the line. This was our border. We didn't cross this. Okay? There was another gang over here. So as long as we stayed on that side of Lake Street, we were safe. We came over here, death. Okay? That was our border.
Okay, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let me explain to you how I met my brother. You know, my cousin had told me a lot about him. I mean, a lot. Sounded a lot like me. She told me that there was a lot of similarities, but I never met him. Talked to him on the phone, but I never met him until my cousin's daughter's wedding. So I flew up there, took my camera with me. So he came and picked me up from the airport. He got my hotel room together and everything. And he just really, really showed me around, made sure that I was well taken care of. I appreciated that. So anyway, we're sitting there and going through all the festivities and having a great, great time. And then he turned around and started telling me more about himself. So I wanted to just, well, John, you tell him.
Well, I came from Selma, Alabama, and a church-going family, very good family. I loved intact family, sharecropper family, Christian family. And we moved up here. My father moved up here first, and when we came up here, he had changed. He was no longer a deacon in the church, and he no longer went to church, and he drank, and he was very violent. We had never seen this before, but we had no family support. By the time I was 13, I was in jail for armed robbery. My life took a dramatic change. I was groomed to be a pastor when I was a kid. That was the greatest honor in our family. And now I was being groomed to be a drug dealer and pimp. I was taken in by a group of people that drug dealers, pimps, gangbangers, and they taught me things that I never should have learned. God had already dispatched angels to me. I didn't recognize him at the time. You know, he had dispatched one guy that convinced me to go get my GED because I dropped out of school. I was kicked out of school at 14, all the public schools. So the angels were there. I just didn't see them. I didn't believe in God. I didn't know that he existed. My life was at the end. And also my son got shot. It shot his leg off. It brutally shot him up. And he lived. And I seen that as a sign of there might be a God. And then that guy, Art Erickson, that had been sort of trying to talk to me for years, came to the court with me and convinced the judge to let me go on probation. And everybody was shocked because that doesn't happen. The judge, I don't even know if the judge knows what happened, but I know what happened. God had seen my heart had changed. When my son didn't die and somebody came to help me even though I didn't deserve it, I knew that had to be God. So I asked him, you know, just to take control of my life. I didn't know how to live. I just didn't want to be who I was. And that the day I asked him to do that, I became a new person. I became a different person. People thought I went crazy, you know, because I was talking and acting and dressing different and stuff. But immediately God took control of my life. I also tell people, never mistreat anybody. You never know when you're talking to an angel, you know. So I try not to leave a bad taste in people's mouths, and I'm pretty open about my life. That's how all that happened, you know.
John also shared a little bit more about his story and things that kind of got him rolling in certain directions. Then he took me to an office of his. Also didn't know he was the CEO of Mad Dads of Minnesota. So we're sitting there and he's explaining that to me. And I found this on YouTube. Check it out.
Today, I'm going to tell you about fixing the damn roof. The roof, if you look at this beautiful place here, it's beautiful. When you walk in, you've got all these lights and everything and pictures on the wall and cameras and things. Let's take the roof off of it. Let's just cut it right off. And let's come back next year and see what we see. We would not want to sit in these chairs. We would not want to hear a presentation because it would be nasty. There would be things crawling around here that some of us would understand if we were scientists. There would be stolen things. There would be just ugly, ugly, ugly things here. And the roof in a child's life is his father. The father protects him, keeps that area of protection over him. You understand? See, my father took the roof off of my life when I was 7 years old. And when he took the roof off of my life, all the ugliness of the world crept in that broken ceiling. My name is John Turnipseed. My family used to run these very streets, the Rolling 30s Blood Street Gang.
My name is V.J. Smith, and I'm a mad dad.
30 of my family members are in prison for some degree of murder, you understand, 10 for first-degree murder, and I want that to stop.
Mad Dads is an organization that fights against crime. It stands for Men Against Destruction, Defending Against Drugs, and Social Disorder.
Dads accomplishes the impossible out here. You know, we have integrated ourselves out here in a positive way with the kids out here that need our help.
I'm gonna ask you a question. What you gonna be when you grow up?
Police. What color?
See? That's what I'm talking about.
I'm gonna be a lawyer.
You gonna be a lawyer? I like that. Come on, get it up. What you gonna be? Police officer. Come on now. What you gonna be? Mechanic. Come on, give it up. The truth hurts.
Hey, man.
Girl, give it up. We've been out on this street for over 100,000 hours, and we're not gonna stop now.
This is a place for kids. We do after school teaching here. We do, kids learn a lot of different things. We have a music studio I'll show you that Prince helped us build, who used to be in our programs.
How long has this been in the making?
This has just been 25 years.
25
But
years.
he started, the guy that started this started 50 years ago. And this is a place where kids can express their musical talents. We have open mic on Fridays where kids can come in and, you know, do their thing. This is our music studio.
Look at here.
We teach kids how to use this. You can't be just a participant. You have to learn how to use this and either learn guitar, vocals, rap, or piano. So you have to learn something here. And you know, I've done a lot of my recordings in here for my curriculum that I do and stuff. It's state of the art. So our kids really, this is a magnet for kids. Okay. This is all after school stuff. So after school, we always feed kids.
You feed the kid?
You got to feed them. We always have snacks. Some kids come here just to eat.
But at least they have a place to come.
They have a place to come and play. You know, we have mentors. Downstairs we have showers and all that kind of stuff. But the brick factory didn't used to have windows. So you didn't need windows with a brick factory, and they had a front door and a back door. So at night, when the owner left, he knew all of his guys were on crack. They could come in and sit on the bricks and smoke crack all night. And the police didn't even know they were in here and stuff. So as a drug dealer, this was one of my favorite spots. Because all I had to do is just stand out in the door there and they'll smoke all night till 6 in the morning. And then they had to leave and be back the next night.
So as a drug dealer, now you're a healer.
I'm an entrepreneur.
An entrepreneur.
I'm a social entrepreneur.
Okay.
The hope dealer, that's what it is.
Okay, the hope dealer. I like that.
Drug dealer, the hope dealer.
There you go.
And I'm a hope dealer. I like that because that's what was missing in my life. Hope. I never knew I could aspire to be anything. Never knew a teacher? I've been a supervisor of operations, of third shift operations for Honeywell Avionics, okay? That's a long title, man. I've been that. This child that had no roof. And it took a simple thing, somebody to care enough to help me chase the boogeyman. So here's what I want you to do. I want people to understand what a hope dealer is. A hope dealer is someone that just simply gives enough, gives a darn, cares enough about another human being to enter into a stranger's life and just offer hope.
So here he go again, opening up doors and things. But this was kind of unusual. This was a school that he was involved with helping to build, along with Colin Powell and people of this nature. And then he takes me in and, well, go on and give us a tour, John.
It's our pride and joy.
You're not talking about that facility.
Yeah.
Oh, my land. That's an accomplishment.
Because John knew their struggles, Urban Ventures CEO Dave Hahn says that lived experience was powerful, and John used it to mentor countless young men through his work at Urban Ventures, specifically their Center for Fathering, where at its peak was mentoring hundreds of young fathers every week.
The best school in Minnesota.
Okay.
It's, you see how bright it is?
Yes.
And stuff. I've never seen a fight here in 12 years. We don't do that here. Kids will react to their environment. You put them in a jungle, they'll act like animals. You put them in a safe place to be. They don't have to defend themselves. Ain't no sagging. We wear uniforms. Once a week, every kid in here goes and works a job instead of coming to school to pay for their tuition. And 99% of them go to college.
That's a high rate.
Yeah. We got the best rate in Minnesota. The heat and everything is generated from the floor. We won awards for this building because a construction company, a major construction company, was our partner and only charged us for the materials. So we were able to do whatever we wanted. And here's our gym. 4 courts, 24 baskets. They can even be lowered for little kids. We start teaching kids at kindergarten, after kindergarten, how to play basketball, soccer, baseball. We want our kids to go to college. So we have the different colleges around, even on our basketball courts, colleges. And the colleges pay for their wall space and the basketball in their name. When the Timberwolves need a secret place to practice, this is it. Okay? When we've hosted the Lynx, the Minnesota Lynx, the women's professional basketball team, when they were going for one of their championships, they wanted to get away, they came here. But that's the best field. Even the Minnesota professional soccer team practices on it because there ain't no divots. It's private. You know, we have another one. That's small, a little smaller. It's artificially turfed down the block. This is for our kids. Flag football, soccer. Got a lot of Latino brothers. We provide what the neighborhood needs. You know, we don't decide for them. We provide for them. So that's the quick view.
Oh, that's not it. Then my brother turns around. Now he wrote him a book. Okay, so my cousin called me up. You know, he wrote this book, and it's on Amazon, and you need to get one. So I got one, misplaced it, bought another one. Then I found it. So we were laughing about that. But he wrote this book, and there's this other part that I want to just share a little bit of what happened and how this book came about.
Your book really is a story of a transformation and how God can restore you from that sort of life you described to what it ought to be. What was the big turning point for you personally?
My dad was a deacon in the church, had never drank alcohol in his life, and had never been violent. When we came here, this was a different person. To me, he was the boogeyman. It was like the monster out of your worst dream was your dad now, and he was drunk and abusive, beat my mother every single day.
Wow. Now, in your book, Bloodline, you talk about some of these things, and actually some of it with such candid honesty.
I want to tell you a little bit about my family. In my family, there are 30 men in jail for some degree of murder, 10 for first-degree murder. I didn't count the people that were in jail for other things like child molestation or things of that nature, or assaults or things. They were smaller caliber. I mean, not meaning that they're not bad things. I just started counting murderers. And it amazed me. I didn't even think, even in my family. And I know each and every one of them, and there was one thing that each and every one of them had in common. The roof was broken. There was no daddy there, and if he was there, he was the wolf. So I was hiding from my daddy most of my childhood life. Can you imagine a child trying to lock his daddy out of the house? I was nailing down windows to keep the boogeyman out. So my family is ravaged with prostitutes, drug dealers, illiteracy. To get a GED in my family is a great accomplishment. We hardly ever see them. To not have a felony and be an adult male, or even 15, is almost unheard of. Because the roof has been taken off. There's no protection. So me, myself, I have 10 adult felonies. I've been in prison 3 times. I've been locked up in trunks. I've done things to people. I've hurt other people. Hurt people hurt people. We know that. I'm not excusing it. I'm just letting you know that the thing sometimes you read about in the newspaper, that beast you read in the newspaper, if you ever could see what made that beast, you might understand how to stop making them. So in my lifetime, I have seen the boogeyman come in many, 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 many different forms. I've seen him hurt so many people. I've seen him just destroy a person. I've seen the beast just devour little babies. So what happened in my life? You know, if that happened to me, what happened? How am I standing here? I'm standing here because I can look back in my life and see where somebody came along.
No, 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 no. That's not all that happened. There was even more. Then they took the book and then they made this 3-part series out of it. This guy, Tom Lydon, he turned around and made this 3-part series out of his story. And guess what? Guess what? They came together, put this movie together, and I just wanted to play a little trailer of the movie.
Every night,
Please God, make it
I pray he'd go away.
Please God, make it stop.
But I guess when your father is the devil, you can't expect God to answer your prayers. You spend enough time in hell, feeling like you belong. Please, God, make it stop. Please, God, make it stop.
That's not all. The brother won an Emmy for that. He won an Emmy for that. And check this out. Tom Lydon came and gave the Emmy to John. He said, it was your story. You deserve it. Now, isn't that something just fabulous? So, you know, we were sitting there and we were talking about having our show and catching up with each other and all of these kind of things. Literally the day we were supposed to have our interview, that morning they found my cousin's daughter-in-law's brother on the porch of their parents' home, dead. So after all of that, we did schedule another time. So we got together and we were sitting there and deciding about what we're going to do. So we set up another time. And in that time that we set up, maybe about a month or so, then this.
We're going to take a moment to remember someone who devoted his adult life to trying to end the gun violence epidemic here in Minneapolis. That man's name was John Turnipseed, and he died yesterday, sadly, but we're going to talk about how he lived because it was truly something. John went from being a gang leader as a young man to being a community leader who spent decades telling the story of his life turnaround to try and turn other lives that were like his around. After George Floyd was murdered, he worked tirelessly, helping businesses rebuild. The list of what John did goes on and on. Here's Gordon with the story.
The legacy of John Turnipseed is both deep and wide.
Many in Minneapolis have heard his story.
It's a story of redemption. He was a gang leader in the streets of South Minneapolis.
Involved in drugs and violence, and eventually serving time in jail, where his life changed forever.
John came to know Jesus. He would want the audience to know that Jesus grabbed a hold of him.
I wanted to tell you and share with you about this man named John. Well, another episode of Where Were You? And we would like to thank our guests for this evening. Also want to thank New Me. New Me helped sponsor Where Were You? So go on and check it out. newme.com/Arkway. Also, go on and hit that like. Go on and hit subscribe. Go on and hit that share. Go on and leave a comment. And if you find anyone that has a story, let me know. And hey, you bless someone today.